Call the Candy High County Board of Commissioners to order. We would stand for the pledge, please. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag
Pledge allegiance to the flag
States
of
of
the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Am I cued?
Yes, you are queued right now, Raleigh.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And as chairman of the Candioi County Historical Society, this is an absolutely momentous occasion, something that I'm just glad I'm here. I wish I weren't. I wish I were with you and not where I'm at right now. I'll be put it bluntly, but this is historic. You can't get more historic than 150 years of being in business as a county, and I won't say much more than that because I just wanted to remember the historical part of it. And then Harlan, I was going to call on you to since you were there at the beginning, and that's a joke, by the way. But you know, I think I might look a little older than you right now on the screen. But anyway, I know that historically you'll probably have a few words to say, and I'm more than happy to have the opportunity to say what I just said. Thank you.
Thank you, Raleigh. We certainly wish you the very best in your recovery, and please take care of yourself and continue progress, Raleigh. Best to you. To follow on the 150 years, the original plan several months ago was to meet in Candy High, which was the place that Candy High County met and was organized 150 years ago exactly today. So Candy High County has been 150 years in continuous operation from that point in time. For those of the history, Candy High was a combination of two counties, and after they finally decided they could agree, they made the decision to move ahead to be one county, and it was met in Candy High. However, with the COVID, the world changed, as we well know, and we were not able to do that. However, for next year, there is a celebration that is being planned that will be much more active. The Historical Society and County, it'll be 151 years thereabouts, but we're not going to be counting at that point in time either, Larry. So thank you very much for Raleigh for attending, and best to you as you move ahead with that. A number of items today, and I will begin right with Mr. Thompson, please. We'll do the bills and minutes first, I'm sorry. Bills have been transmitted. Any questions or comments? Is there a motion?
I so move.
Mr. Berg moves. Is there a second?
I'll second, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Index seconds. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion likewise carried. On the minutes, any questions or comments? You received them by email.
I'll move the minutes, Mr.
On
Yes,
the
and we'll
rules.
move the minutes.
Nissen will second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion is carried. Mr. Thompson, you have a couple of items. We're going to move number 2 on our agenda down and coincide that when Mr. Engelby is here. So, Mark, you have 2 items, please.
Morning, Mr. Chair, members of the board. That time of the year again where we have to approve the county's official newspaper, and we've gotten 2 bids. One from the Lakes Area Review, and this is for 2021 now, of course, and a bid from the West Central Tribune. The first bid here, I'll open from the Lakes Area Review. And Mr. Chair, I'm not sure, maybe the next board meeting, is that when they actually approve this?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, they open the bids today and they will be approved, and discussion will take place the next board meeting. That is correct.
Okay, the first bid is from Lakes Area Review. Dear Candioi County Commissioners, following is our bid for legal publication of the annual financial statement, delinquent tax list, all legal public notices, and all legal publications for 2021. The SAU, which is standard advertising unit rate for first printing, is $10.50. SAU rate for second and any additional printing, $10.50. Discount allowed after 1,290 Standard advertising unit inches printed, the discount is 12%, which comes to $9.24 per standard advertising unit. Discount allowed after $11,610 expended. That discount is 12%. That is $9.24 per standard advertising unit. The standard advertising unit rate for any additional notices ordered by Kandiyohi County as per your bid notice, $10.50 for the first printing, $10.50 for additional printings. If successful, the Lakes Area Review will furnish a $1,000 printer's bond. The Lakes Area Review freely circulates over 6,600 newspapers each week, including every address in New London and Spicer towns and routes, Wilmer Route 4, Pennock Rural Route, and Sunburg Rural Route. Meaning for these citizens of Kandiyohi County, there is no charge to receive county minutes or legal notices. We also serve paid subscribers in Wilmer and other Kandiyohi County communities for a yearly fee of only $38. Anyone outside of our free distribution area who wishes to receive the county minutes and legal notices can do so for a fraction of the cost in comparison to the subscription rate of other newspapers. Thank you very much for your consideration. Sincerely, Ted Almain, Lakes Area Review. The next second and final bid that we have is from the West Central Tribune. The West Central Tribune is submitting a bid to be the official newspaper of Kandiyohi County for all legal publications in 2021. Bid proposal, bid per standard advertising unit on the first insertion, $14.15. Bid per standard advertising unit on the printing of the second legal notice, which gives you a 25% discount and it comes to $10.61. In mid-September, we went through a format change in classifieds to enhance the look of the paper and improve the readability of our legal section. It went from a 9-column page to a 6-column page, which resulted in a 38.8% more content in an inch or standard advertising unit. Example enclosed. I'll show the example when I get done here. The rate is higher than in the past, but the out-of-pocket cost remains the same. This bid reflects no increase in dollars from 2020. The West Central Tribune is published in print 2 days per week, Wednesdays and Saturdays. Our paid circulation is 6,618 subscribers or 16,545 readers. The public will also be able to read the county's public notices and legal publications in the Reminder and online on our website at www.wctrib.com. The Reminder is a print publication that is mailed to non-subscriber households of the West Central Tribune in Kandiyohi County. By combining the Tribune, the Reminder, and our website, this provides the county nearly 100% saturation of its households. We are providing the additional coverage in the Reminder and our website at no additional cost to the county. It is included in the bid. I appreciate your past designation of the West Central Tribune as the official newspaper of Kandiyohi County and look forward to a continuation of this relationship in 2021. Sincerely, Steve Ammerman, publisher. So, yeah, here's the, okay. Sure. The difference is you can see the columns are wider on this particular one here. Nine-column page to a 6-column page. So this must be the 9-column page. And they're currently at a 6-column page, which is much bigger, as you can see. Okay? So those are the bids, and Mr. Chair, I don't know if you just want to wait till next time to discuss them, and then that's what you
Yes,
said?
the
Okay.
purpose is just to open the bids today.
Okay.
Any clarifying questions, Commissioner Imdeck?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. I think you did this for us last year, and I hope it's just a click of the mouse on a spreadsheet, but I think you calculated for us in the previous year, had the rates been applied for the two different publications, what that would have been as cost to the county, or essentially what the difference is between the two publications, based on last year's public notice printings. Is that something you could do again?
Sure.
Thank you.
And we'll try to get that out to you a couple days before the next meeting.
Thank you.
And as you did in the past, Mark, also summarizing the various quotes can be sent out prior to in the board packet. It was last year, and I assume it will be this year as well.
Okay.
Okay, then proceed to your Burr Oak Ski Trail, please.
Okay. The Burr Oak Nordic Ski Trail has been awarded a grant of $5,500. And Candioi County is the sponsor for the Burr Oak Ski Trail. So what I'm asking for today is a approval, acceptance of this $5,500 grant on behalf of Burr Oak.
Chair will entertain a motion.
Also move, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Almond moves, second Commissioner Berg.
Yes.
Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor of accepting the grant, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is
And
likewise
Mr.
carried.
Chair, I know you mentioned that we're going to wait until Lauren gets here, but I can just basically state right now what we need to do as far as the ditch fund.
Okay.
And when Lauren's here, if I need to come up, I can again.
Okay.
The ditch fund, Fund 14, ditch fund balance, again, is in the red. Of course, that's no surprise to all of you with all the redeterminations going on and other stuff. However, the state auditors frown on us having a deficit balance in any fund. So to get that back into the positive plus balance, we'll have to transfer, I'm asking the board to transfer $340,000 from the revenue fund to the ditch fund on December 31, 2020, so that we will have a positive balance.
Okay.
And it will be like an fund loan that someday it'll have to be paid back. So that's what I guess I'm asking for that now. If you want to pass a resolution now, you sure can, or if you want to wait till Lauren gets up here later. And
Mr. Chair?
Mr. Imbeck.
Is that a resolution?
No, it's just
Just
a
a-
motion, just
okay.
a motion to transfer. We've done that before, and again,
I would
as
move
Mark
on that.
points out, I'll take a motion from Commissioner Imdeck. Is there a second, please?
I'll second that.
Second, Commissioner Almond. As Mark points out, the redetermination of benefits, which is a greater expense in terms of the acquisition as far as the land, and we
Buffers.
cannot have a red balance, so we just transfer back and forth, and when that money is collected from landowners on the ditch, then it becomes reimbursed. Commissioner Imdeck?
Yeah, and Mark said this, and I just want to reiterate it, that this is not county level levy dollars going into a ditch system. This is simply a loan to get that fund up to balance, and when they make the assessments to the owners of the ditch, that will be repaid.
I think Lauren's going to be talking a little bit about that today, so
Yep.
later.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, also, that was the issue that the state auditor brought up, is the deficit funding.
Yep.
So we're addressing that issue, so there shouldn't be a concern any further. Thank you for
Correct.
doing that.
And it's about the same thing in about 45 other counties, too. It's the same challenge.
I think any county who's going through the redetermination of benefits, that's a
Any
lot of
kind,
money.
which is a significant number at that point. So it's standard operating procedure to cover through, but to proceed from there. So thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Call on Connie, you've got the next couple of items, and certainly the bigger one being the union and non-pay scale with the contracts. So Larry, you're going to start, please? Okay.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, members of the public who are watching, Connie Mort, Human Resource Director, will be up here to talk about the 6 union contracts that we did and the non-union pay scale. Just to give a little background about how union contracts went, who was on the committee, Commissioner Mattson, Commissioner Emdike, Human Resource Director Connie Mort, and myself, along with the department head and the supervisors from each one of the different departments that they represented. We started in October, and we just finished up, had votes and stuff as late as December 9th. So I think Connie's been working her tail off to try to get everything together and so we could present to this board. So I'll call Connie up and she can explain the process. It was a good, hard process, but it is one that, that's what negotiations are about. I didn't touch it.
Can I remove my mask? Good morning.
Morning, Connie.
Like Larry said, this was a very good process. We had a lot of good input. We had a lot of good discussion. And I'd just like to thank members of the unions and also the member of our negotiating team for all of their hard work that went into this. I think I'll just start with reviewing the changes that we've got in our contracts, and I'll start with the Human Services contract. You all should have received these markups in your board packets.
Yep.
So we'll just start going through the highlighted areas, just some alternative work schedule clarification in that first one. The second one under Article 3, under union security, the employer shall deduct fair share fees. We know that that is no longer applicable because of the Janus summary, but the union would like to have had the highlighted section put in there in case the Janus Supreme Court decision is overturned. We would again withhold fair share union dues from employees at that time. Under Article 5, hours of work, lunch period must be taken during the workday and may not be subtracted from the end of the workday. We've had some issues with this and we just wanted to just clarify that and have it as part of our policy and our contract.
Mr. Chairman, would you like to continue and then ask questions later?
Would that be possible, or we could go with questions right now? Because many of these things, Commissioner, are going to be repeated in other contracts as well.
Right, thank you.
So, Article 8, sick leave. This is a change that we made from calendar year to full pay periods. So it's much easier for our system and for our payroll department to administer that policy. And it is the same policy, it's just we're changing the timing on when they can take that. Under Article 11, leaves of absence, there was old sections in here that were repetitive and also obsolete. We do operate under the FMLA, and we are required to follow that in accordance with any of our health or parental leaves. So it's just requiring that where it's listed in the Candy, Ohio County Employee Handbook, and then also that they're covered concurrently under the Minnesota statute that was passed recently. And then the old sections will be deleted because they are, again, obsolete and repetitive. Under overtime compensation, Article 12, we went from $40 to $45 per diem and from $60 to $70 per diem effective upon ratification of this contract, and that was a negotiated point. Under Article 13, we've really struggled with the dental coverage for the singles because we need to charge a premium piece for that, and we've not done that before for our single coverages. And those single coverages are pretty extensive. And so we asked all of the bargaining units to have their employees contribute $5 per month for the duration of the agreement for single dental coverage. Right now, our family coverage, people that have family coverage are contributing $70 per month. So it is significant. And this is to keep, we are a self-insured plan, so this is to keep us fluent. Article 17, under Section E, that is also obsolete language, so we're just deleting the language, social worker with a master's degree in social work may be promoted to master social worker, because that classification no longer exists under our current class and com. Article 21, compensation. We're looking at a 2% increase on our salary structure for non-union as well as across the board in all of our collective bargaining agreements. So 2% for each year of the contract, of this 3-year contract. And then also, you may be aware that we have a lot of transfers between the social worker units, especially from child protection into other areas of the county, of the agency. While that's very good for our agency to be able to retain those employees and our excellent social worker staff, we also have, we've noticed that there's a lot of churn that happens, and we lose those child protection workers to other parts of our agency. And so we would like to recognize the work that goes into being a child protection worker, social worker, by adding an 85-cent per hour differential pay as an incentive to stay in that department. That would just be for our child protection workers that are in both units of child protection, assessment and ongoing. And then the remainder of our changes are just changes to the years that the contract would be effective. So that is our health and our human services piece. Going on to the public health contract. Again, we have some repetition between this contract and the last one because they are, 2 units of the same agency. While there are some changes, a lot of these languages will be the same. Again, under union security, the Janus Supreme Court piece and fair share. Under hours of work, the lunch period piece, again, from the end of the 45 minutes, not from the end of the day. Under 8, the sick leave piece, again, that is the 25% of sick leave during the pay periods, not for the calendar year. And under 12, leaves of absence, again, clarifying the FMLA piece as well as the Minnesota statute piece. And under for parental leave, and then deleting the old sections as obsolete and repetitive. Overtime compensation. This is a piece that's going to be a little bit different in the public health piece because we had not had this language in here. And this is basically a copying language from the human services contract to the public health contract. It was a negotiated piece. It allows for a flexible work schedule for our exempt employees. And then under section C, we're increasing our compensation, the appropriate rate of pay, and the call-out, basically, of $45. Then on the following page, under section D, again, we've got the piece for employee independent dental insurance. This is going to remain the same and be concurrent through the rest of the bargaining units as well. Under Article 22, compensation, again, we're looking at the 2% increases for each one of the effective years of the collective bargaining agreement for 21, 22, and 23. And then under old section D, taking out the program or special project leaders, that again is an obsolete piece of language that's in the contract since our compensation study was done. Under 25, general provisions, that's just an addition of 2 additional vaccinations that are part of our public health piece for those workers. And then the remainder is the years, updating the years and the effect of the contract. Going on to the Public Works Department contract, there'll be a few different things here. Under Section 6, hours of work, we're just taking out consecutive and following under the engineering department piece. We're not really changing anything. It's just being able to be a little bit more flexible with those. Under Section 4, we're deleting Sundays because we are under the Fair Labor Standards Act. Sundays doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be automatic overtime because our pay period does run from Saturday through the following Friday. So if it's over 40 hours a week, it's overtime, not necessarily just on Sundays. Old Section 5 was blade operators. This is also obsolete, and we already have a comp time policy in effect for all of our employees under this collective bargaining agreement. Section 4. In our last contract, we established basically a fund that would allow employees to purchase clothing and also that we would order clothing and safety equipment for them. So the change would be clothing will be ordered and provided during the first quarter of the year. There was some issues with having people get their clothing in a timely manner, and we've brought that back to the union stewards. One of them will be responsible for submitting those orders to our person that handles that in the Public Works Department. We are going from $200 to $250 for clothing and boot allowance. And then the new piece of this is $135 for prescription safety glasses or safety sunglasses. All safety glasses, including safety sunglasses, must be OSHA approved. A little bit of a background on this. Currently, we pay $125 to Wallman Optical. An employee has to go to one of the prescription places here in town, and quite a few of the eye doctors are Wallman Optical providers. Then we would pay $125 to Wallman, and the employee would pay the balance. So what the employees would like to do is to be free from that and be able to use $135 towards their own prescriptions, and they'd have to be OSHA approved, and also sunglasses and other safety glasses that are non-prescription. And the reason being is that the argument was made by our equipment operators that are also our snowplow operators that certain glasses and certain sunglasses provide a better protection from snow glare. And that was one of the pieces of it. So it's an extra $10 up from the $125 that we would be reimbursing to Wallman. And we'll also discontinue our contract with Wallman at this time. Section 5, that's also obsolete language. Employees hired as an engineering aide, also highway technician classification, 2 years of service, etc. That is obsolete. It's no longer a practice. Under Article 8, Section D, that again is the dental piece for single coverage. It's the same as it is in the other contracts. Under Article 11, sick leave, Section 8, again, going from a calendar year to first pay period and last pay period of the year. Under Article 13, seniority, blade operators is being removed. That's also obsolete language. Under Article 14, Section 4, new employees shall receive an employee evaluation during their 6th month of employment and if necessary in their 12th month. That's obsolete language as well. It is in the 12th month of employment. We do an annual evaluation. Under Article 19, again, this is updated language for FMLA and the parental leave Minnesota statute, and deletion of obsolete language and repetitive language. And then, of course, the years updating in the terms of agreement. So those are our AFSCME contracts. So a lot of that language is repetitive in those contracts. It's basically some cleanup language and just some updates for some of the compensation due to cost of living, etc. We want to continue on to the corrections collective bargaining agreement. Again, years changed. under Article 3, 3.10 is new. It's a field training officer. Basically, it's just, the field training officer currently exists, but we wanted to have it in the contract as an FTO, and just what that definition is. Article 8, it's just changing Everbridge to Rave. We changed our system of notification. Under Article 11, holidays. Again, we're changing from calendar year to first full pay period of January through the first full pay period of the year. Under 11.4, that's new language. All staff working a 12-hour shift shall have holiday time paid out, not banked. And we used to have basically a holiday bank. We do not have a holiday bank. It is now paid out if they're working on holidays. Article 12, 13, or it should be, I think I have that numbered incorrectly. It says it's 13.1, but this is also the piece with the single coverage for the $5 per dental single coverage. I'll have to fix that formatting. Article 17, wages. We've had some changes in this. Sergeants will receive an additional 2% to their regular pay on the salary schedule. This is to get them a little bit closer to the patrol sergeants in a different classification. There's various reasons for the differences in the classifications, but we wanted to recognize the importance of our sergeants in our correctional facility as well. Under 17.4, this is reflective of our compensation survey, and also there's no longer 4% in between steps. So we'll be just putting people into the next step that would afford them a pay increase upon transfer and promotion. Or promotion, not transfer. Under 17.7, we went from 85 cents to 90 cents for shift differential. Under 17.8, if an employee is called in to cover a shift for any reason, it used to be just for if that employee was sick, but if it's for any reason, an extension of a shift is not call-in, therefore it's not entitled to the payment. 17.9 talks about FTOs. In the absence of the FTO or field training officer or the probationer working less than a full scheduled shift, the FTO will receive 1/2 hour of pay for the shift they're assigned. And then Article 21, again, just updates for the years that the contract would be effective. Moving on to deputies. Again, Article 1, update the years. Article 3, or 3.10, field training officer. Again, adding field training officer to our definitions. Article 9, overtime, 9.1. This is just adding that rave language that we have already in the corrections contract. So that is the same. Most senior employee and regular scheduled day off, call in for overtime, etc. It's the policy that is currently in effect. It's just being illustrated in the contract. Under Article 13, 13.4, again, the update for the single coverage insurance for dental. Under Article 17, wages, we've got a change there in the year. Then under 17.43, an employee may accrue up to 8 hours per pay period to be placed in their comp bank. The remainder will be paid out as regular compensation. This is just for a K-9 officer, and it's just an extension of actually being able to have 8 hours of comp time per pay period as opposed to having it all paid out. And then 17.44, this is new language. Employees who are specially assigned as drug task force, school resource officers, detectives, or corporals will receive an additional 4% increase to their regular salary step. This is new language in that most of these were 3% prior, with exception of the detectives. They were at 4%. We're just putting all of these specialized categories into the 4%. And the reason that is that they're in the same classification as our road deputies. So these are just, this is an addition to that salary structure. Under 17.6C, SWAT team members will receive $600 in uniform allowance to receive $300 in January and $300 in July of each year. This is not an addition. They've been receiving this $50 per month, so it's the same amount of money, it's just going to be paid differently because they wanted to be able to use those funds in lump sums, basically, instead of the $50 per month. So it's the same $600, it's just going to be paid differently, $300 in January and $300 in July. 17.12, again, this is the FTO language. If they don't work the full shift as an FTO, they would only be afforded half of that compensation. Under Article 18, 18.2, this is a brand new thing. This is a training bank. We have a number of employees that come in for training, and they wanted to log that training time into a 60-hour rolling limit. So they'd be able to log their training time and use it as basically as time off, hour for hour time off. And it's a 60-hour rolling limit. So they can use it and accrue it, and use it and accrue it. And that would be, like I said, that's a new benefit for them. Our Article 21 duration, just changing again the years. Going forward to dispatch. Article 1, again, the years updated. Article 3.9, again, under definitions of a field training officer. Under Article 14, we've got some deleted language there. Full-time and regular part-time employees shall be entitled to the following 10 holidays with pay. It's 8 hours of holiday pay while not scheduled, and then whatever they would be scheduled for on their shift. If they were working 8, 10, or 12 hours of holiday pay for the length of shift actually worked on the designated holidays. Under Article 16, wages, of course, we're 16.1, we're updating the year. 16.3, this is again an update to that call-in policy. Call in for any reason, not just if the employee is sick. An extension of shift does not qualify. 16.4, again, this is an update in the policy about promotions. 16.6, that is a difference in pay from 85 cents to 90 cents shift differential. 16.8, again, that is the field training officer language for the additional 1 hour to paid as a full shift. They're assigned as an FTO. And again, if they don't finish the shift, it would be as half. Article 17, compensatory time. 17.2 is new language. Again, the training bank, this one is at 48 hours. Under Article 18, again, that's a typo there for 13.1, it should be 18.2. Employee independent care dental insurance, again, that's the $5 per month for the single coverage. Article 22, duration, those are just the updates of the year. That is a quick overview of what our collective bargaining agreement negotiations settled on.
Commissioner Rahman, you have a question on the contracts?
Many, but I'm not going to resolve it today. I would like to recommend that in the future, prior to approval of just 2 county commissioners, that discussion take place before approval is given to seal the deal, you might say, prior to it coming to the board. I think there's a lot of questions here that should have been resolved and should have been discussed. This doesn't give us the opportunity in a short time frame, and I would certainly hope that the strategy and input is given to all people of the board, all commissioners of the board versus just 2 to proceed in the negotiation process. I know that's the way it's been done. I find it a little unusual that, and I appreciate all your work. I just think for the sake of equal input on negotiation, the strategies that were discussed in a closed session, which we have the opportunity to do, but it does not get into technicalities of trading or bartering or negotiating issues for a win or a loss to one or the other. I have a few questions. Why hasn't was it ever discussed during the board meeting as far as transitional lenses for eyeglasses versus safety glasses, an additional pair of safety glasses to be paid by the employer? And or clip-ons to be put on the regular pair of glasses that are already safety glasses? That's a considerable expense to the county to have different pairs, and there are other options. And those are just a few of the things. I have many others, but I'm not going to bore you with them. But in this case, it looks like the table's been set, and we're eating it without any input, and that's just my opinion. Thank you very much for your work. You do a great job.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And thank you for your input.
You need to take a motion on the contract
Yeah,
before you
yeah.
go to the other.
Yep. Is there a motion on the contracts to accept as
So moved,
recommended?
Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Imdak moves. Is there a second, please? I will second the motion. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is hereby carried. Then proceed, Connie, with the merit. Oh, no, the non-union first. Non-union
Right.
first.
I think that you all received a salary structure in your board packets as well. This is a 3-year salary structure starting in 2021. Would be effective 2021, 2022, and 2023, and is based on our existing salary structure with the addition of a 2% cost of living adjustment for each one of those years. That's our proposal for our non-union salary structure, and the $5 dental also would also be something that we would request from our non-union employees, which has been covered in all of the collective bargaining agreements as well.
Questions for Connie? If not, the chair entertain a motion to approve that as recommended.
I so move.
Commissioner Berg will move. Is there a second?
Nissen move,
Nissen will
Nissen
second.
second.
Nissen will second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is hereby carried. Then proceed with the merit system. Connie.
All right. Okay, some of our background on this request is that we have been, as one of the other 60-some-odd agencies out of 87 counties that have utilized the merit system for our human services agency. What it is basically is a recruiting and selection process that we receive a requisition. And a requisition is a list of candidates for each one of our positions. It could be office support, it could be eligibility, it could be accounting technician, it could be social workers, or even a supervisor. So those lists come in and they're approved via their recommendations. And so we have a list of candidates that's fairly limited. We're not allowed to go outside of that requisition to hire qualified candidates in the Human Services Department. And it does restrict us. It does restrict our ability to have qualified candidates and have a larger field of candidates. So our proposal is to inform merit, which is required by statute to have a 1-year notification system and have a lot of different pieces in place for that. We have to be able to illustrate that we are capable of having a classification system and having a selection system and a recruiting system in place outside of merit. And that happens within the year. What this letter is, and you've received a copy in your packets, is just a notification to merit from Larry and from Candy Ojai County that we would that we intend to withdraw from the merit system effective January 1 of 2022.
Any question for Connie? Corky?
Yeah, a couple of questions. This is something that's been talked about for years, I understand. And like you said, a lot of counties are changing that. Two questions I have is, then you're going to be doing the testing or set up your own method for each of these classifications. And how much do we currently pay now towards the merit system?
Very good question. Thank you, Commissioner. We currently, for 2021, it was $19,600. And this is actually going up every year because more counties like ourselves are withdrawing from the merit system. It's becoming It's just becoming a restrictive system. And a lot of counties are making the move to get out of the system. As that happens, the fewer agencies that are in merit are absorbing more of the cost. In the past 5 years, we've had significant increases in the amount that we pay annually. Like I said, in 2020, we paid $19,600. That was up 9% from the previous year. 2019 was up 9% from 2018, and 2018 was up 14% from 2017. So you can see the increases that are happening every time, we have an agency prospectively leave the merit system. The rest of the clients then in the system are absorbing that cost. And that's the cause of the increases per year.
Another question.
The merit system originally, way back, was a good system, and it was really needed for the counties. Times have changed, and my question to you is, it sounds like it would be a lot more additional responsibility for you to take on. Do you have the capacity to do that?
I believe so. Right now, and part of the reason too for merit is there's excessive paperwork and excessive, I think for me, it would be just about as much time to do our own system as it would be to do the various things that merit requires, both online and in paperwork and annual increases. It's not, again, you're absolutely correct. It's good. It's a good system for some. I think that it's a little restrictive for us. We're a bigger county. We've got a good size agency that we hire exclusively for, and merit is only for the Human Services Agency, not public health, and not for the rest of the county. So literally, we are spending $20,000 to recruit for one of our units in the agency or for the agency. So that being said, just to illustrate, long been a dream of mine to get some online application software. That being said, NeoGov is a software that Merit System currently uses, and NeoGov is also a recruiting and online onboarding system that is just for government agencies. So it's also a job board. You can put your jobs out there, and you can get qualified candidates off of the NeoGov job board. Okay, so all of that together, both the online application system, the applicant tracking system, and the NeoGov job board would be $19,453 for the first year, and that includes a $5,000 setup fee. So in effect, for the entire county, I could hire on these job boards for the entire county, not just one agency, for less than $15,000 a year, as opposed to $19,600 and going up for one piece of our agency.
Chair, you need a motion?
Yes.
I so move that we submit our
We
notification.
have motion to submit the letter. Is there a second to said motion?
I'll second that.
Seconded, Commissioner Almond. Discussion or questions on motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Post same sign. Motion is hereby carried. And as you're right, Cork, it's been talked about for years and years and years, and we're at the capacity now. And particularly, Connie, with respect to you, other HR directors, we didn't have this expertise for years and years, and that's exactly why we stayed with that. So the timing is absolutely correct. So proceed, Connie, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Kleindl.
Mr. Chair, before we move away from these contracts, I just want to remind her something that Larry has said many, many times, that our employees are our most valuable asset. And when we go through these contract negotiations, they are just that. They're negotiations, not contests. We want to provide equitable and fair working conditions for our employees, encourage them to stay in our workplace. At the same time, we need to be responsible to the taxpayers. And I think these negotiations, as I said, are not contests, they're negotiations. And we aren't working towards a winner or a loser in these cases. We're working towards what we call a successful sale in my business. And that's when both the seller and the buyer walk away happy. And we worked really hard for this. Thank you, Connie, and thanks everybody who worked on these negotiations.
If we're
Thank you,
under
Roger.
public comments, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to add to respond to Mr. Emdek's response. If you're trying to address my current statements on my opinion, it isn't opinion, it's fact. All other counties that I've contacted through the League of Minnesota Cities I've been in communication with, this is highly unusual in a lot of cases how we're doing this. My point is that I'm trying to make, Mr. Emdek, is that the individuals who represent 1/5 of this county and are elected to that position are not given a process or a point to to involve themselves with opinions of that elected official with the bargaining groups. The opinions have been limited. They are not collectively formed. They are given the authority by only 2 individuals. And if you're looking at the largest sum of money that we are ever going to be, which is our employees, and I agree that there is an investment to having good employees, and I think we have great employees. I have no complaints with our employees whatsoever. They do an excellent job. The issue is fairness in comparison to the people in the community who do not have these privileges and these nice contracts with many issues, and there is no or negotiations of give and take how important these issues are to one side versus the other. In this case, we've accomplished to have them pay a $5 fee for dental service. Wow, I'm really impressed. What have we gotten in return? That's it? Paying an increase of wages is important to keep pace with the cost of living. But in this case, you're minimalizing the opinions and negotiating process. I would much rather see to be transparent rather than this being set and given to us at one particular time right now to make a decision. We are not given and afforded that ability equally as commissioners to discuss and negotiate and go through each one of these individual changes or revisions. And we've allowed that to be given to 2 people with no input, or I've not ever in 4 years received any input from any person on what those particular issues are that you're negotiating. That to me says there's a failure of communication. And I'll just leave it at that. That's just an opinion, but I believe there's a lot of fact. Thank you.
Mr. Kleindl?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Before you today, before Resolution 2020-53, for the commissioners-elect, each year, at the last board meeting each year, you have to set the salary for the previous year. So that's why we do it now. It gets discussed again at the reorganizational meeting. By statute, you have to set the elected official's salary the year before January 1st. So I'm before you today with 3 proposals. Currently, the salary for county commissioners in Kahnawake County is $31,380, and you get an $80 per meeting stipend. As you heard from the labor negotiations and our non-union, we are giving all the other employees a 2%. If we added a 2% to the county commissioners, that would be $627.60 per year. If we do a 1% cost of living increase for the county commissioners, it'd be $313.80. And so I have before you today, Mr. Chair, 3 options that the board can choose from. You can choose to keep it to where it's at, which is $31,380, or you can go the 1%, or you can go 2%, or if you want to go higher, I guess we could do that too. Today you have to set the per diem or annual salary for January 1. What is your wish?
Any questions on the numbers that Larry put forth? Mr. Berg?
The one question, the 2%, has that been put in the budget already?
Correct. That's what we budget
That would be
across.
no increase.
Correct.
Questions or comments?
As I stated in the past. Go ahead.
Mr. Nissen?
Well, as usual, I'm going to, we have a lot of people out there hurting, and I don't see any reason for us to give ourselves a raise at this point. we're still making money. A lot of these waitresses and other folks aren't. That's my 2 cents worth.
Is that a motion, Commissioner?
Yes, it is.
Okay, motion by Nissen to leave the salary fixed and the per diem at 80,
I'll second that motion.
and motion is seconded. Any question or discussion on motion? Hearing none, all in favor of motion, say aye.
Aye.
Pose same,
Aye.
pose same sign. Motion is hereby carried.
Mr. Chair, can I come up to have you sign it?
Can I have a whole bunch of papers I'll sign afterwards, Larry,
Okay.
please? Jenny has a whole stack that he need to sign, so we'll do it all in one foul sweep here, so. Calling Ms. Lippert for the resolutions, for the transmittal resolutions, please. Mr. Kleindl, is Sheriff Helene here? Is Sheriff Helene here? He's outside? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. Okay, then proceed, please, Jenny.
Good morning. So I am here to present two different resolutions. The first one is something that the Minnesota Department of Health likes us to have on file to keep our everyday business transactions flowing. So Resolution 2020-54, whereas the Community Health Service Act of 1976 provides grant and subsidy funding to develop and maintain an integrated system of community health services under local administration with a system of state guidelines and standards. And whereas the Candioi County Board of Commissioners, acting as a local Board of Health, applies for, is awarded, and locally administers state and/or federal grants in Candioi County. Now therefore, be it resolved that the Candioi County Board of Commissioners, acting as the local Board of Health, hereby authorizes the Health and Human Services Director, Jenny Lippert, the legal signature authority for contracts, applications, reports, budgets, and expenditure reports, including but not limited to the following: child and teen checkups, women and infant and children program, maternal children and health special programs, PACT for families, family home visiting, local public health grant, emergency preparedness, state health improvement partnership, foreign-born tuberculosis disparities, Prairie Lakes youth programs, state and/or federal grants. This resolution should remain in effect for the calendar year of 2021 or until further notice. Look for approval of that.
I also move, Mr. Chairman.
Amon moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Berg seconds. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, and we all need to sign this, so if you would start that, please.
Yep, and then I have a second
think the other one also
one.
needs the signatures as well.
Right.
Thank
So
you.
the second one is for the legal signature authority in my absence. So a large amount of reports and signatures must be completed within a timely manner. If I would be absent or attending meetings, I'm requesting to have staff step in and be an authorized signature holder for such items. So this is Resolution 2020-55, whereas the Candioi County Board of Commissioners recognizes the need for continuation of signature authority in the absence of the Health and Human Services Administrator or Director. Now therefore, be it resolved that Candioi County hereby authorizes Jody Ammerman, Public Health Nurse, and Denise Kriegenbring, Public Health Nurse, both Public Health Supervisors, to have legal signature authority in the absence of the Health and Human Services Director to sign reports, budget, expenditure reports, and applications, including but not limited to the following. Again, our child and teen checkup program, our WIC program, maternal child health special projects, PACT for families, family home visiting, local public health grant, our SHIP program, emergency preparedness, foreign-born and TB disparities, Prairie Lakes youth programs, and state and/or federal grants. Carol Tollefson, fiscal supervisor, has legal signature authority for vouchers, accounting, fiscal host, and other financial matters as it relates to the overall Health and Human Services Agency and local public health functions. Again, this resolution shall remain in effect for the calendar year of 2021 and/or until further notice.
Questions for Jenny?
Mr. Chair, I'd move on Resolution 2020-55.
Imdak moves. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Berg seconds. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion is
Aye.
hereby carried. Thank you, and just leave them with your other stack.
All yours.
Lauren, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman and members. Thank you for your time. I have before you this morning legal services agreement for the calendar year 2021 from Rinke Noonan Law Firm in St. Cloud. As you know, in the past, the Drainage Authority for Kandiyohi County has hired Rinke Noonan to be on retainer for the calendar year to provide legal services and guidance through drainage law. And this year, they are offering two options. Option one would simply be, as we've done in the past, and have them on a monthly retainer, which is pretty much unlimited questions, comments, emails that I may send to them, and to help guide through the procedures of drainage law. Option two that they're offering would be to charge the County Drainage Authority on an as-needed basis. My recommendation is to remain with option one, keep them on retainer. As a matter of fact, I send Kurt and Kale emails or give them calls half a dozen times a month, depending upon the activity, sometimes far more than that. So it has worked out very, very well to have their guidance, specifically really procedural, to make sure that we're staying on top of things the way we need to. So I would ask for your support for proposal number one.
Mr. Chair, I'll make that motion.
Commissioner Nissen moves proposal option one for Rinke Noonan. Is there a second?
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Commissioner Amon seconds. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Pose same sign.
Aye.
Motion is hereby carried. Thank you, Lauren.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
May I approach for signature?
Yeah, you're gonna be going now, so I'll sign it then you can take it, you bet. Thank you, Lauren. Thank you. Good morning, Mr. Oline.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So what we got here is just an amendment to the grant agreement for the Violent Crimes Enforcement Teams, which is our drug task force. As you'll see, the change that is occurring to that, the total amount is $374,750. So if you look at the state funding cycle from January 1, 2020 to June 20, 2021, they're allotting $187,375. And then the same amount for July 1st, 2020 through December 31st of 2021. So if there's any questions on that,
Any questions for the sheriff on the acceptance of the C6?
I so move.
I'll
Commissioner
second that, Mr.
Berg,
Chairman.
second, Moak, and Commissioner Amon will second the motion. Questions or discussion for the sheriff? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion is likewise carried. And thank you.
People say that. I get so sick.
There you go, Eric. Thank you. Thank you. As soon as Val is done, we'll take a couple of minute break here.
Sure.
Well, I'm thinking there may be some coffee that, I'm just, usually that is the signal at that point. So,
Keep going.
Val, if you would proceed, please.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Every year, I'm required by the state of Minnesota to come up with our list of any assessment changes that have been made post local Board of Appeals or State Board of Appeals, and the changes that we made then are acceptable. Anything after that date on our PRISM abstract that's submitted to the state, I have to report to you the changes that we did make. I did enclose a list for all of you, so you could see it. Most of them are exempt to taxable or taxable to exempt if they've been sold by a government agency and put back on the tax rolls. There's 2 assessment corrections. One was an acre correction and one was a square footage correction. And basically, that's all it is. I just need a motion and approval of this, so you are aware of the assessment changes I made to the abstract.
Chair will entertain a motion to accept the recommendation.
Also move, Mr. Chair.
Commissioner Rahman moves, Chair Madsen will second. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Hey,
Motion is likewise carried. I will sign that. We'll take a brief recess in
Logan, are you about ready? Okay,
As soon as Roger gets here again.
hold everybody back in here, so just.
Yeah,
All right, 3,
Roger, we're ready to go.
2, 1.
Call the board back to order. And Mr. Gear. Couple of items, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first agenda item that I'd like to bring before you is the 2021 solid waste and recyclable collection transportation license applications. Their annual renewals. The solid waste collection applications are from Ace Roll-Off and Disposal, CMF Tree Service, Demcon Companies, Matthias and Disposal, Tom Kramer Incorporated, Waste Management, and West Central Sanitation. And the recyclable materials license, collection and transportation licenses are from Demcon Companies, Waste Management, West Central Sanitation, and Shred It. All applications are complete and ordinance requirements are met, so staff is recommending approval of those applications.
So move, Mr. Chair.
I'll second that, Mr. Chairman.
Imdak moves, Amon seconds. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Proceed, Gary, with
Thank you,
the
Mr. Chairman.
update and some.
And the other item is addressing some of our single-sort recycling services that we are now providing. We received many calls expressing their thanks in our transition to single-sort recycling. Citizens are seeming to recognize how convenient and easy it is, and also how big of a process it was to deliver and now service 15,000 carts. But part of that is, I think, a common positive request that has cropped up as far as number of calls that staff have been receiving, is that citizens are requesting a second cart. So in an attempt to respond to those requests, I'm asking that the board would consider taking action to amend the contract to offer a second cart option for an annual payment of $39. I believe providing this option will take immediate pressure off for citizens that are whose carts are full prior to their next service date, and will also give us time to gather more information, year-end data relating to our expenses, our tonnages received, our participation rates. We can continue to kind of put that data together to continue then to give the board accurate information to update and make decisions on. So with that, that's what I have as the request for the recycling program today.
You want to say that the customer would pay the $39?
Correct, and it would be an annual payment that the customer would pay to us, and then, of course, West Central Sanitation would be part of the bill to us.
Mr. Chair, this is Raleigh. I will move that we adopt that portion. We're
Commissioner
providing a
Nissen
second cart.
moves, Commissioner Nissen moves to accept the recommendation of the additional charge. Is there a second?
I'll second
Commissioner
it.
Amon seconds. Discussion or question on motion?
Question, please.
Miss.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. For the sake of discussion, could you inform me as to how many people have been requesting this? I know that I've received a lot of calls that of the same concern. We've addressed
Yeah.
some of the issues with the powder-coated hitch harness you can put in your vehicle and pull it out to the street for those in the rural areas. Are these requests coming from any businesses or quasi-businesses, or are they primarily from residential customers?
The requests have only been from residential customers. I think and I'm just be careful, the commercial side, I think, is understanding that this program does not cover them. So we're not receiving those calls. And I think we're almost at 40 requests in the spreadsheet that I have going forward for folks that have, over the last 3 months, requested a second cart. And that doesn't mean that maybe a call came in to Jay Baker at HHW that the message didn't get completely through. So, I mean, there could be some misses there, but we've got a good short list started of folks that are recognizing the need that their cart is full prior to their next service date and wishing for an option.
Commissioner Imdak, you had your hand up?
Yeah, Mr. Gear, if a person would want to have a second cart, who do they call? Do they call us or do they call?
They would call us, yep. They would call the number, the 235-3587. Call the number on the cart and online as well. And we would get their information and their payment and then transition that information to West Central Sanitation to make that delivery.
Mr. Berg?
Just to be clear, that somebody wants a cart, then they're making a commitment for doing this for a year.
Correct.
Commissioner Ahmed?
Just comment, I appreciate this, and I really appreciate the fact that after 4 years, this is being implemented. I was a supporter of that from the very beginning 4 years ago, and I think this is the right direction to go. I wanted to have it succeed, as I'm sure everybody here on the board and the community also, to save our landfill or extend the useful life of our landfill and encourage recycling. We all know the benefits. We've all heard the story. I guess I would like to encourage you, since this is one of my last meetings, to encourage this board to look at the budgeting items in the future for education to the varying people that we have come into our community do not understand what recycling is all about. I think by education, some videos would be a great idea in different languages that can be distributed to local groups for more updated education is what we're doing in our county, so we have a better quality product that is being recycled, which will therefore give us a higher rate of return for our recycling product. And I've talked to you about this, Gary. I just think that if there's any way in the budget we can do that, I think it would be a good effort on behalf of everybody in this county to participate in that kind of a educational process, or re-educational process. And I encourage you, and I thank you for all your work, for what you're doing and how it's working out, and all the abuse you've gotten from phone calls of different people who have seen the change. So I just want to take this opportunity and say good job.
Thank you. Yep.
Gary?
Well, I'll
Anything?
let you
Okay.
finish the vote.
Okay. Any further questions, comments, discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign, motion hereby carried. And certainly, as you continue, there will be further amendations. If the word that was used more frequently is that we're going to be adjusting as we go on, this is what it's going to be with the recycling program, clearly, till we get it. And you got a...
Sounds good. And I just have one little plug here as well. Commissioner Ahman already mentioned it, but this is the locally manufactured cart puller that we have available. We've sold a couple dozen so far. I live in Norway Lake Township. I don't know if you would hold that against me or not, but
today.
my driveway is just about a quarter mile long, 2 creek crossings, and 1 livestock gate. But holding it under 25 miles an hour, I've kept both wheels on the ground and I've not lost a single item out of my recycling cart. So they work great. Locks on the handle of the cart, holds the lid shut with this angle, and hooks on the ball of the hitch. So great little item that hopefully folks will catch on and be willing to use to help in those longer rural driveway settings.
And I think those are made in Hanson Silo, aren't they?
That is correct.
Yeah, good plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
they did a
a
great
good,
job,
again, a good local company that's creative and innovative, and they do take the speed. Now, I only have a 100-foot driveway, so I don't have to worry about it too terribly fast at that point. But my biggest nemesis is the wind.
Yeah.
And that's, that's where we have to adjust, we have to learn. I finally gotten my wife to understand that when I take her papers, which she wants to somewhat keep for utilizing, I put them on top. Then it doesn't blow at all. So it's somewhat learning to be not facetious about how to adjust and how to proceed with that. So
All right.
thank you, Gary.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Appreciate it. I call on Jean at this point for a CARES update. And we have materials in front of us for that? Yes. Good morning, Jane.
Mr. Chair, Commissioners, I'm here to give you your final adaptation of the CARES Coronavirus Relief Fund program that we've had, and just wanted to share with you that this particular document, the use is really for the audit process, and so The intention was really to put into kind of a snapshot or an overview for somebody that was coming from outside of the organization, would be able to review the information and get some really good sense of how the process went, kind of fill in the blanks. You know, all of us that have been involved from back in July and August, you know, this is probably really redundant for you as you look it over, but this was really meant for the eyes of somebody coming from outside and kind of how things were done. So if you look at it, it is really, does not encompass every little single spending that was done throughout every department, but it was intended to capture some of the larger categories and/or expenditures that they might have questions about or want to know more information about specifically. So just in review, the front page kind of gives you a snapshot of all of the categories that were reported to the Minnesota Management and Budget on how the funding was spent, the amount of funds that did come in from cities and townships, and the external allocations that were provided to other organizations outside of county government. Wanted to go over the background and what the committee structure was. So we covered that in on the next page. And then the principal guidelines that every single committee and every single decision was used in order to determine whether it was allowable under the federal guidelines from U.S. Treasury. And those really are, number one, was the expenditure necessary and incurred due to the public health emergency, respect to coronavirus disease. Number two, were all expenditures not accounted for in the budget most recently approved and that was March 27th, 2020. And number three, were all expenditures incurred during the period that the program was allowable, which was March 1 through December 30th for programs, but December 1st for all expenditures. And the December 30th date is a federal date, and that's why this is part of the federal guidelines. Minnesota had a separate date, which we all knew as December 1st for all expenditures. So if a bill came in after December 1st, and we did have a few of those come in, it was not allowed for, even though it was pre-approved as a CARES expense, it was not allowed to be paid under that program because it came in after the December 1st deadline. And so, and then again, I think this is something that is important to really stress, that the requirements that were all expenditures be incurred due to the public health emergency means that expenditures must be used for actions taken to respond to the public health emergency. And so I think all teams looked at those questions and used those guidelines. It also states that statutes were specific that expenditures using funds must be necessary. And the Department of Treasury understands that this term broadly to mean that the expenditure is reasonably necessary for its intended use in the reasonable judgment of the government officials responsible for spending fund payments. So those were, again, what we were going by in the intent of the law. So a lot of times you have to go by your reasonable judgment and what was the intent of the law wanting or incurring for those payments. So that, I think, is important that we, everybody understand that the way that decisions were made and the reasoning that was used is clear at the beginning of the report. So we just break it down into the different committees and some of the expenditures, and then the reasoning and some of the why the documentation on why that would be an allowable expenses is kind of how we broke down the report. So I think you've seen this information several times, so I guess I would open it up for any questions that you might have, and as we wrap it up.
Any questions for Jean? It almost seems too few pages for the details and for the amount of work. It almost, Jean, could be about a 4-inch deep packet. And I say that seriously, given the complexity and given all of the paperwork and the applications and the accounting and the auditing and the innovation, it doesn't seem possible really that there
Well, we have
was.
spreadsheets to back up all of
Oh,
it.
I know that. I
So
know
there is actually, we can account for every single expenditure under every single category with an invoice and a warrant number. So hopefully this is just the overview for them. But I do appreciate that, yes, it could. And the intention was to not be too verbose, but keep it readable.
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Imdak.
And it appears like the work may not be done yet, because if the governor passes
Yes.
the bill that was passed through the legislature yesterday, there'll be some more work to do, so
Yep.
I think this is a
Good news for the businesses.
good primer.
Yep. Corky?
I just want to express what everybody else is saying. Excellent job. Thank you for all you've done all the time.
Well, the teams did an excellent job of keeping everything moving smoothly.
Yeah, and keeping all these committees going. They all had their own personality.
Yeah.
Well, and as you say, Roger, the bill passed yesterday. There's going to be more discussion. There's going to be more. It may not be a CARES. There might be a different acronym, but I'm hoping they stay with the similar types of procedures and policies to be able to execute and to deliver this. And there will be, one or two or three, who knows at this point, but there will be more. But I hope they don't deviate too much, otherwise you got to reinvent the wheel again. So again, any further questions or comments
Well, just one
for
comment,
Gene? Mr. Amman.
Thank you. We've said that many times, but I think without your leadership and your direction and your consolidation of all this information, we would, as county commissioners, be overwhelmed.
Thank you.
So for that, I appreciate it. As far as future, what's going to bring, we don't know. One concern I do have is that I think we should identify and be more aware, anybody who has any financial interest in any compensation they're receiving, hence being a county commissioner, that there should be an abstention of input or approval of any expenditures that would benefit them directly financially. I think in this case, there has been some things in question. So I guess I'd like to bring that out to the county attorney, that prior to voting, that those individuals that do have financial interest and have a direct benefit on this final vote would abide by the open meeting law requirements and inform the county commissioner or the county attorney of that potential indifference or violation, so that it's acknowledged publicly and then they abstain from voting. Other than that, I think overall this is done very well with very little conflict between any individuals. I think that's a compliment to you and staff.
The department heads and the teams did a great job. I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Gene.
All right.
Thank you very much. Mr. Odens, you have a number of actions needed here.
I don't touch it all, Larry. Thanks, Larry. Mr. Chair, members of the board, I've got three things before you. They're all final payments for your consideration. The first one is our crack filling project. I'm going to do them by order of how they show up in your packet versus our maintenance dollars. And our goal is to keep up on a 10-year cycle our crack filling and seal coating. So this is the crack filling part of that. So it's my recommendation to approve or accept the project and authorize final payment on the.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Imdak moves. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second, Mr. Amman. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same
Aye.
sign. Motion hereby carried.
That we get over and above any levy or state aid dollars. And it's a competitive bid that we compete against all the other government agencies in this district. And this year we did about 54 miles of the edge line. And incidentally, this is the grooved in, wet reflective. We've gone to that almost extensively now. And it is more of a porcelain versus a glass bead, and it shows up a lot better at night, especially in the rain. If you've ever really noticed the difference, the edge line almost glows back at you now. And that's because of the reflectivity of the bead that's being used. So it's my recommendation to accept this project and authorize final payment to
Mr. Chair,
Traffic Marking
this is
Services.
Ronald Nissen. I'll move that motion.
Okay, Commissioner Nissen moves to accept. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Commissioner Berg seconds. Questions or discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion is hereby carried. Proceed, Mel.
Then the last one is the Diamond Lake Trail. This is the project that you may recall, for some of you, that this project was originally open in July of 19, and then the bids were so high that we rejected the bids, and we came back, retooled the project a little bit. And then coincidentally, in the meantime, we ended up getting another $181,000 in federal aid because of some unused dollars, and we were ready to go. So it turned out to be a blessing in disguise for us, because what we were able to realize is we only had to contribute 20% to the project. So this is the Diamond Lake Trail, the one we just put the benches on this fall. So it's my recommendation to accept this project and authorize final payment in the amount of $31,595.77 to Donick Incorporated.
Chair will move to accept. Is there a second?
I'll second that. Mr.
Index seconds. Discussion or questions? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is likewise carried. Thank you, Mr. Odens. You're doing good on snow plowing this year. It's just been marvelous. The roads are about as dry as I've seen them now, so.
You bring up a good point, though. So what we do, though, as you recall, is we use a portion of the snowplow savings to do additional overlays in next year's work. Now, that can work against you. If you have a bad winter, you reduce your overlay, but the wild card I use here is I overprogram the overlays in case we have a good winter like this. And so hopefully we'll see about, right now, we're looking at 4 more miles. So just so you're.
If it holds, if it holds. Thank you, Mr. Odens. Mr. Kleindl.
Mr. Chair, I'm here to inform the board about the sale of the Midwest, to Midwest campus, the technology campus, building number 15, unit 15. In 2005, 2006, Kansas County entered an agreement with the state of Minnesota and Midwest Campus Technology, and reached an agreement to sell and to the Regional Treatment Center, the old RTC, to Midwest Campus. And the agreement was that as the years would go on, if Midwest wanted to exercise their options, they would give a 2-year notice to purchase those buildings. Said price of each building was put in the original agreement back in 2005 and 2006. On this next building, Midwest is doing something a little different. They are exercising, they're waiving their 2-year option that they have to hold. What they will do is they will lease to the state of Minnesota for 2 or 3 years that building to continue to use as a mental health facility. But what it will allow them to do is they will be able to use the parts of the building that's not being used for their own, right, currently, they could use it for their own use. In 2017, we entered in a similar agreement when we did the CABS unit. Where there used to be the adolescent program, where Midwest took our lease over from the state of Minnesota and leased to the state. And then when the adolescent center was finally built, then they took over the building. This is just a procedural thing. This is the original agreement. The prices were all set. In the original agreement, what happened in 2017 most likely would be the same process, is we would just do a quick claim purchase agreement because all the details are spelled out in the original contracts. The original price that was set in this year, initial price in 2006 was $194,914. That money comes to us, but then it gets passed right back to the state of Minnesota. We don't get that money. We're just a broker. So I'm asking for permission to work with them and enter into this purchase agreement.
Any questions for Larry? It almost seems too simple after how many years and how many reams of paper.
It'll be good to have this taken over by Midwest Campus. I think it's a challenge right now. We're in negotiation with the Department of Admin, along with the Department of Human Services, and of course then you got Midwest Campus, and then you got the county, and so there's a lot of parties and a lot of different wheels moving. But this would be our last building on the campus. On the campus, and we would own Prairie Lakes program and building area. And then we would have the 16-bed community behavioral health hospital by the YMCA.
Do you need a motion or just?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
I so move.
Commissioner Berg moves to accept the lease with the conditions and the sale. They're going to rent it.
To the state of Minnesota for 2 to 3 years, could be longer, but that's the initial agreement, and they got to work out all the details. Basically, Mr. Chair, what we do is we transfer our lease to Midwest, and the state of Minnesota will adjust the criteria to their needs.
And it takes the county out of this at this point.
Yes.
Is there a second to said motion?
So moved.
Imdex seconds. Discussion or questions?
Yeah, just one. It's
Mr. Imdex.
customary to get a brokerage fee, isn't it? You said you were the broker?
Yeah. It doesn't work that way.
Yeah, you'd think so. In fact, that was even talked about years ago, but that didn't work out, Roger, clearly. So,
Well, I remember sitting in St. Paul, in Senator Johnson's office with the mayor and our staff and our Mr. Thompson and stuff, and driving back and forth negotiating this stuff out. It was quite a lengthy process, as you remember, Mr. Chair.
yes, we sat in this room many, many, many times, but it was good. So, further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion is likewise carried. And
Just a few administrative updates. Just wanted to give you an update regarding the hovercraft. As you know, in 2017, it was approved by the county board to purchase a new hovercraft. Our other one was not usable anymore. The fins were bent, it was tippy, and so we were in the process of getting another one. We did purchase one, and it was the wrong size. We sent it back. There has been some details about the company we purchased this from. There's potential legal action going to be taking place for us to get our money back. In the meantime, we have funds available. We have $20,000 that we're short from our original funding, and we do have it in our reserves. And I would ask, I guess I would want the board to understand that I'm planning to take that $20,000 out of the rescue squad reserves to get that hovercraft. I don't want to be sitting in spring and having open ice and have somebody break through the ice and potentially die, and because we were afraid to take those $20,000 to save somebody's life. And so I don't know if you want to make that a motion, Mr. Chair, or just agreement, however you want to do that.
certainly take a motion, but we've already approved it.
Right, you have.
certainly, and we had the.
But it's an informational piece, because that's what I want to do.
Well, it's been ongoing for a couple of years now, as far as the challenges, clearly. And we've had the conversation to move ahead. So finally, we have some closure on that as far as certainly moving ahead. So agreement on that, then proceed, Larry.
Okay, well, the final is a bittersweet moment, recognizing Commissioner Almond and Commissioner Mattson for the years of services. It's been a great 4 years, great 26 years with Harlan. Harlan has not only 26 years as a county commissioner, but I think almost 46 years on the planning and zoning total. So I want to thank you on behalf of Canada County for your services. It's been awesome working with you. When I was going through my list of, look at the number of commissioners that I've worked with in my 15 years, it's amazing. And I think we've always had a strong board. And I think one thing I'm really impressed with our board is that we've always had good communications and able to work back and forth. So I have a plaque here.
Mr. Chair?
Corky?
Since we do have a little bit more room here, could we invite some of the guests in, please?
We got some room, come on in. I didn't have eyes back in my head.
No, I figured you didn't, so.
No. So on behalf of Canada County, we give a certificate to commissioners that are between 4 and 8 years, 2 terms, to Commissioner Arnold. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
I have a plaque here to Commissioner Mattson for 26 years of loyal, dedicated, and genuine kindness to the Canada County and citizens of Canada County.
Commissioner Almond, would you wish to make comments at this point or thoughts? The floor is open for you.
How much time do I have?
We're actually ahead of schedule right now from
Yeah.
what we had figured, looking at the agenda that is put forth, so.
No, I
Got
just,
some comments,
thank you
please
for
do
the
so.
opportunity. There's no comments to make other than to say, I think I'm proud of Candioi County, I'm proud of our community, and I'm proud to have been able to serve in both capacities. The city of Wilmer and Candioi County has been a blessing and an opportunity to have the trust of the people and also their participation. I would also like to add to that I believe more people should be involved in this process in government and more communicative with their desires and their needs. I think a lot of times they take public officials for granted that they will take care of all the issues, but it's a joint collaborative attempt that should be made to improve in government, improve on openness and transparency, and to communicate in a better and more open way with all people, not with select oligarchs. So in this particular case, I want to thank my family, who have been very supportive of me in my 20 years of public service. And it's been very humbling, very educational, and a great opportunity and blessing. I hope and wish everybody else would have that opportunity in their life. Some people have said that, Steve, it's equivalent to a 4-year degree in college when you look at all the years that you have been involved with the process of government, and I tend to agree. Others have said that it's you've done your tour of duty, similar to those who have served in the military. Although we were not shot at, we have been shot at by and affronted by individuals through the years that you have to really consider to be a wound or a badge of honor. In this case, I consider any wounds that people are attempting to make as a badge of honor because I am not a rubber stamper. And I never will be, and I'm proud of that fact. I'm an independent individual thinking. I'm non-biased to any party on any side. And I think that is probably the right direction to go. I hope everybody will continue that same philosophy. And I wish you all the best of luck. And I want to say hats off to these guys at Candioi County. The employees here have been so approachable. They have been open. They have been willing to explain all my questions, which a lot of you know I ask a lot of questions because I want to learn and understand, which is our duty and responsibility. Hats off to all those that I've met, the department heads especially. Never have I ever had a conflict or anything negative to say that wasn't resolved and disputed or conducted in a professional manner. And for that, I can say kudos. Keep it up, guys. You're doing great. You have my confidence, and I believe a lot of the confidence of the people of Candioi County. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. You asked how long you have. We adjourned at 12, isn't it, Larry? I think. But no, Raleigh's clearing his throat there at that point to do so. I'm going to wait just a second because I see Mr. Thompson coming here.
May I just add, we do have open chairs for the sake of social distancing. Please grab a chair.
Grab it. You can even sit at the press table if you want.
You bet. Run room right up here for Julie, maybe.
I knew someday this would come. I didn't know if it'd be 20 years or 26 years or 4 years or whatever it would be. And I have to be candid, I have certainly thought about what to say and what to not say and how to proceed. First of all, to the board. It's been phenomenal. As Larry, you talked about the number of commissioners over the years that you've had a chance to work with, and you and I started at the same time. And it is phenomenal. As we look at the board going forward, I think one of your significant challenges is going to be replacing a county administrator. We all know for a fact that that is coming. And for the consideration of additional staffing that may be needed at that, our complex county and complicated county is no different than any other 87 counties or 86 counties in this state, or the other thousands of counties in this country that are becoming more complicated all the time as life changes. So I just urge you to consider those. And as Roger, you talked about, the employees and staffing is our greatest resource. The board and staffing together is our greatest resource in Kantihewat County. As we look at the new commissioners, Commissioner Anderson and Commissioner Gardner, govern from the middle. You do not govern on the edges. You do not solve problems on the fringes. All you do is create more. So I urge you to study, to learn, to research, and to reflect, to listen, but most of all, to lead. A leader is not functioning unless they're leading. We look at multiple examples, and we hear it every single day. The leaders of this state, the leaders of this country, the leaders of city, whatever it is. We have leaders that are not leading. Leading is making decisions, difficult decisions, decisions that require thought, and they require you to leave as a board together. One of the things I've missed the most in these last 10 months has been getting together and having our monthly dinners. It's been the most fun. We never discuss business, we discuss personal stuff. And we built relationships. Relationships that are irreplaceable. The world revolves around relationships. How we relate to and we react to people. So I urge you, as moving forward, learn to understand where you're at. Learn to understand where you're going to go and how to get there. The word transparency has come through multiple times, and I will state this. Never once did I violate the open meeting law. Never once did I deviate from the integrity and the character and commitment. Never once did I play politics with anybody on any issue, anytime, anywhere, and I have people in this room that are angry at me for doing that. But I will never, never compromise moving forward. That's how you govern. You do not indicate to people they work the system so they know how to make the decisions. We are county commissioners and we are not district commissioners. We make decisions based upon what's in the best interest of the county and the citizens and how we interact. I said when I was campaigning the first time in 1994 that I was going to set up an advisory committee so we could have discussions and we could have good information. I soon realized that was not practical to have a committee meeting on a committee. As I found out, and Wayne, you know full well, 20, 25, 30 different committee meetings in a month and moving forward, I couldn't add one more. But I did have, and I was blessed to have individuals throughout the years that I was able to be challenged by, I was able to confide with, I was able to have conversations and banter ideas back and forth. Rarely did we disagree too much, but we did disagree on issues, but we also agreed we're going to move ahead. And I asked those individuals to be able to come today so I could publicly identify them. And the first individual is posthumously identified is a good friend of mine, Chet Johnson. Chet was the zoning administrator and assessor in Kaneohe County for 40 years, Wayne? Something like that? Thereabouts. He was the reason that I was appointed to the Planning Commission. Chet's family and our family went to church together, and after Sunday service, Chet asked me, Harlan, he said, were you contacted by John Larson? Yes, I said I was. Did you say yes? I said, yes, I did. Anyway, Chet had suggested that John asked me to consider to be on the Planning Commission. And Chet said to me, and I will never forget this after church, he said, Harlan, I know you can separate the wheat from the chaff. And he said, I think you'd be good on the Planning Commission. That started in 1975. I owe a lot to Chet. Next individual, Dennis Peterson is not able to be here today. But Dennis is the reason, one of two people that would have been in this room that pressed me and asked me to consider as far as running for a commissioner. Dennis and I first met on the Planning Commission, and Dennis approached me as Richard Post indicated he was going to retire and said, Harlan, why don't you consider being a commissioner, at least running for the commissioner? I said, gosh, Dennis, I don't know. I'm farming, I'm starting out. I said, I don't think Dad is real excited if I would be gone too terribly much. And we were at the school sale at where the high school is, the Kennedy Elementary. There was a surplus auction out there. My dad and I were there because Dad was an auction fanatic. And Dennis again came up to me and he said, I'll talk to your dad. I said, yeah. I said, I've talked to Dad, but I said, I'll talk to him. About an hour later, Dennis came back and we were just standing outside the door and he said, your dad said he's okay with it. I said, what did you say, Dennis? Well, he said he found out you got paid a salary. True story. And Dad then said to Dennis that, well, at least you can hire somebody if it's going to be gone. And I did. I did have to hire at that point in time when I was gone. But the learning experience, that was phenomenal. Harris Dunnick is also here today. Harris also encouraged me and had many conversations as we met each other and had conversations over the years on planning and zoning issues. But Harris also encouraged me to run. And Harris and others have been phenomenal as far as the feedback. Wayne Thompson, who's also here. Wayne helped shape significantly who I am as a person, but helped me understand governing. Helped me understand the complexity of county issues. Wayne, I knew very little about county issues in terms of the breadth and depth. I thought I had a clue, but I didn't. It has been phenomenal, and again, I want to thank you for your years of mentorship and for the times that we sat in your office and you enjoyed the best office in the entire building. And I remember that because I remember the old office at that point, back in the courthouse there. Later on, two individuals that are also here, and I would conclude with Dennis Anderson. Dennis and I, I've known Dennis for several years from his Genio, but then the city council, but Dennis and I sat on the task force and committee that worked for 2.5 years to get the Economic Development Commission up and running. Many, many, many times in the city office buildings. And I learned and I gained a phenomenal amount from you, Dennis, in terms of a business sense, a community sense, a collaborative sense, and I've always appreciated the opportunity to interact with you on a professional basis, but certainly on a personal basis as well. Sam Moderman. Sam is not able to be here today. He said he wished he could, but there was a prior commitment. Sam is the individual that took my first $50 when I filed for commissioner. And his words were to me at that point, "You're going to give it a shot?" I said, "Yes, Sam, I am." And he said, "Well, I wish you the best," he said. And I've known Sam for years and years in the office. And again, Sam speaks for himself in terms of his integrity and his character. The last person I want to thank and recognize is Kathy Schwantes. Met Kathy on the Economic Development Commission as a staffer. I'll say that with quotation marks, Kathy. But since have learned to greatly appreciate her insights and her reflections and encouragement as we have moved through difficult times, all of you. It has been just incredible. And I highlighted you because of the respect I have for you and the respect I had for your opinions. Sometimes you held me back, sometimes you kicked me ahead, but you always supported me. I need to breathe a little bit. Because the next people that I have is my wife, Julie, my daughter, Janelle, my son, Greg, my daughter, Carrie. They've allowed me to do this for 26 years. They have been my rock. They've also been my criticizers sometimes. And they're smiling under the masks, I know that. But they have allowed me to do a passion of mine, and that is community service, a public servant. Looking at how we do things together, looking at how we create a better opportunity for our community. They have seen me leave early, they've seen me come home late, they've seen me be tired, they've seen me be angry, they've seen me be frustrated. They've always been there. Greg has run the combine. He's done milking. Janelle has done milking. Carrie chops and milks, and Julie does everything else in between. They have allowed me to do this for tens and tens of thousands of hours over the last 45 years. Without their support, I would not have been able to enjoy and to revel and to learn from all of you. It has been, I am so grateful, absolutely so grateful for that. Julie said to me yesterday, she said, "It's going to be very different having you around, but the greatest difference is going to be not having you on the phone for 4 to 5 to 6 hours a day sometimes." And now I can go down to one phone, Larry. I don't need 2 anymore. And I say that smiling because that was one of the things that you had when I was privileged as far as AMC to get the President's Award, is that Tony talked about having 2 phones. But there are times that I need them too. because the batteries die and so on and so forth. I want to close. This is a little lengthy closing. And I say that with a smile too, Roger, because you're thinking, I remember the statement that you told me one of the first times is that when Harlan, when you ask him a question, he tells you how to build a clock. He doesn't just tell you what the time is. And Charlie Gugesberg from Brown County, after we worked in the Minnesota River Basin for about 10 years, he said, Harlan, he said, if you talk long enough, eventually you'll say something. And he said with a big smile at his face at that point in time. But the reason I say that is this. I want to call special attention to the FFA and to the ag teachers. I was an agriculture teacher from 1970 to 1974, and I still am an ag teacher, except I let my certificate go. I still have a chance to speak once in a while. The organization that enabled me, and if Commissioner Nissen is still on, he goes back to the FFA as well, and some of you in this room may as well, I do not know. The Future Farmers of America is what it was called. Now it is FFA, because it is far more than just farming. My first ag teacher was Dave Shodine. My second ag teacher was Dan Von Bank, and Dan Von Bank and I have communicated that he's just out of British Columbia in Canada. And I know that some of those ag teachers, I had great hopes of being able to invite some current ag teachers and some future ag teachers and some retired ag teachers from this area, and also some chapter presidents who I respect very highly in official dress, but the world didn't operate that way. So I was able to then connect by Skype and email and so on and so forth. Those ag teachers, the future ag teachers, the challenge and the vision and the mentorship they put forward to young people is phenomenal. When I was a freshman in Atwater High School in 1963, I was the creed winner. And when I gave the creed at the contest, I forgot the first paragraph. I could not remember the words to the first paragraph in the creed. I blanked. Despite the coaching that the judge was giving me words, I could not remember it. I remembered paragraph 2, 3, and 4 perfectly. And 5, I could not remember the first one. Obviously, I was in 13th place out of 13 students that day. I vowed that would never happen again. I was able to learn public speaking. I was able to learn as much as I could to control emotion, to control excitement. Not that I can't be emotional, not that I can't be excited, but to be able to adjust and to learn at that point. And the first paragraph is, I believe in the future of farming with a faith born not of words but of deeds, achievements won by the present and past generations of farmers and the promise of better days through better ways, even as the better things we now enjoy have come to us from the struggles of former years. I have not practiced that creed. I have not practiced that creed since 1963, except when I helped, when I was teaching as freshmen the Green Hands. That was a requirement as far as all learning that. I still remember it. It is far different today, but I remember it. And I wish I could have at that particular day. But I learned something from that. I learned a tremendous amount. I think of the ag teachers. We have the Ron Erpeldings. We have the Darrell and Dennis Rupp. We have the Neil Pearsons, the Hansons, Chuck Strandberg, and the other individuals too numerous to mention, and all of us know them. The tremendous role that they have in mentoring and teaching and inspiring. Without my experience in the FFA, I would not have been able to enjoy success. I would not have be able to be so grateful for the opportunities. That provided a jump start and I'm eternally grateful for those individuals. I want to cite the last paragraph in the Creed. And it says, I believe that rural America can and will hold true to the best traditions of our national life, and that I can exert an influence in my home and community which will stand solid for my part in that inspiring task. My friends, I have done my very best. I have done my very best to leave a legacy, to participate in the tasks, to be able to move, and I think of the scripture, move mountains. We have moved mountains. I have done my very best to leave a legacy and follow through with the inspiration that the FFA created in moving ahead in our county, in our country, and on our community. There's a closing ceremonies and opening ceremonies with the FFA. And as the president would tap the gavel 3 times, that was the signal for standing up. And the closing ceremonies would state, we are about to adjourn this meeting, and we are about to adjourn this meeting of the Candy Ohio County Board of Commissioners for 2020. And moving ahead to 21, the closing ceremonies would state, as we mingle with others, let us be diligent in our labor, just in our dealings, courteous to everyone, and above all, honest and fair in the game of life. And then the president would tap the gavel 3 times and it would say, fellow members and guests, join me in a salute to our flag. And before I tap that gavel and do it one last time, I want you all to close your eyes and to picture a baseball or a softball player sliding into base with a uniform that is torn and tattered in a cloud of dust, with the biggest smile on his face you could possibly imagine. Perhaps he's scoring the winning run, I don't know, but picture that individual sliding in, and in the back behind that individual, you would see an archway with an individual standing outside of that, and I will say it's St. Peter, because what I'm going to do is quote Pope John Paul. Pope John Paul's words were this: when I reach the end of my days on this earth, and I slide in, and I meet St. Peter at the heavenly gates, I hope I can say that I have given my all, that I have spent my energy, I have torn my clothes, but I'm with a smile, and I will say, man, what a ride. I challenge each of us to say that, given the amount of energy and given the amount of commitment that we put into our lives and our communities, we can truly say, as we reach the end of our days, man, what a ride. And now, as chair of the Candy Ohio County Board and simulating the future farmers of America, I will tap the gavel 3 times and ask us to stand and join in the Pledge of Allegiance to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Play ball.
With sincere appreciation to all of you, as I've been privileged to interact with all of you as staffers, I concur with Commissioner Amon. We have great staff, we have a great community, we have great leadership. And I wish you a Merry Christmas, and we are adjourned.